You're listening to an Adventures in Middle-earth actual play using Fantasy Grounds. You can find session summaries, items and characters on Obsidian Portal, where our campaign is called In the Shadow of the Mountains. You can cross-reference this episode as 2946 TA Episode 6. You'll find links to that and our other forms of media for our sessions, as well as an index of this episode in the description. Last episode, the party stayed in a Hobbit Run Inn and learned of the disappearance of the owner's brother, Dindy. After delivering Bard's message to Beorn, the party started their search for Dindy. As they camped one night, they were set upon by an evil, shadowy being. It first took Brother Hathus, then came back for the others, but was finally driven off by Sigmarr's fire. Hathor was found the next morning, shaken but unhurt, along with a torc. After resting, the party resolved to head into the foothills to continue the search.
You travelled successfully through the woods, get to on your way to Rowanhold, and then through to the Easterly Inn, a new Hobbit-owned tavern. While there, and a night of enjoyment and warmth and comfort for the first time in a long time, you met up with the innkeeper, who was strangely gregarious to you. His name is Dodie, and he eventually informs you, after testing you out to see whether you'll be suitable people to go and help him, is that his brother has disappeared. He was on an errand going back to the Shire, was expected a month or two ago and hasn't been seen back at the inn. And he convinces you to go and try and help him recover his brother. You travel a backtrack where his brother would have gone, go south towards Beorn's house, across the old ford, and then head up the road towards the high pass. As you were nearing the foothills of the high pass, you camped at a location, an old ruin, which would have been an old town, maybe a millennia old or more, and were surprised during the night by a very scary night wight that attacked you, caused a lot of fear to Amalfrida and the dog, I seem to remember. But fortunately, fire managed to drive it off. For you didn't defeat it, you did drive it away, and it disappeared under the surface of a murky swamp next to you. It had taken Brother Hathus at the time, and you did recover him. And searching around in the morning, and in the cold light of day, it's a lot less scary. You managed to find, in some remains of an old warrior, very little but bones and rags, but there was a few gemstones that could once have been part of a fine neck torc. And it was quite valuable, maybe worth 100 silver. You're a bit concerned that you've not really seen much. You're aware, and you've met travellers on the road that were aware of the Hobbit travels, but no one's seen him for months now. Definitely no one's seen him on a return journey. So you decide to give it maybe another couple of days looking around the foothills before returning to the Easterly Inn. So that's where you're up to. It is currently right at the end of Afterlife. It's the last day of the month, and it's around 10:30 in the morning. You've warmed up. Hathus is feeling a lot better. You've got some hot food down yourselves, some of the last of the venison that Amalfrida caught, and you're feeling much more resolved to push on with the search. So over to you. I'm not sure how much more time you want to give this. You're in the foothills. You weren't going to go through the pass. You kind of resolved not to do that, but there's still plenty of mileage to cover around here.
That's right. Do we get any hit points back? Because I think that's a short rest, isn't it?
Sorry, I can apply a long rest, which I don't think I did. Let me do that, and then...
Yeah, if we're resting overnight, I suppose that you could do that.
And then you can... There you go. So I've just applied a long rest to you. You can pick up some additional hit points by using a hit dice if you need. I'm not sure how badly injured you are. Monin and Hathus are a little bit wounded. Hathus not too bad.
Yeah, perfect. Puts me up.
Good.
So, everybody happy if we follow the path that we've got?
Yes, that sounds good.
If we follow the path for maybe a couple of days?
Yeah, definitely. It's not
give up. We're probably going to have to give it up, I think.
Yeah, but not give up too soon. But yeah, give it a go.
All right.
Okay, it's around 10:30 in the morning. You head out into the foothills, and the mountains looming very large to your west. I mean, none of you, maybe with the exception of Amalfrid, have really travelled over those. Monin you would have done a long time ago, coming from the west to the east, but that would have been probably 50 years or more in human years, and it's very hazy memories for you. But the mountains are vast and very foreboding. It's a fairly cool but blustery day. Sun tries to peeking out behind the clouds, but it's fairly grey and overcast. And you're heading back up this road. As you're getting up into the foothills, and it's getting less flat, what was basically an ancient but fairly well flagged road. There's a few more flagstones missing. Some are tilted at angles, but it's still very easy to follow, very wide, and you'd probably be fairly easy to see any paths crossing it. Although trying to track individual wagon ruts or anything on the track is very difficult because it's actually so well made. So how do you want to progress?
Well, we'll follow the path. I think all we can do is look for evidence of either discarded casks, beer barrels, anything like that, or any suspicious-looking bodies of hobbits discarded on the trail. I think that's all we can do. And if we come across anybody, ask questions. I'm not sure what more we can do.
Okay. So everyone give me a survival check in the tower. I will. Does someone want to take Hathus on and manage him as well? I can clear him if you do.
I don't mind.
I've cleared him. Whoever wants. I prefer someone plays him rather than me, but just grab him, Steve, if you can roll that for him.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Wow, is all I can say. So you all fairly simultaneously say, look, here, it's mid-afternoon, probably about 2 or 3 o'clock. You're making fairly slow but steady progress west up the road, and you see what looks like small footprints coming from the east, i.e. from the right of the road as you're traveling along it, milling around and heading back east in a slightly different trajectory. It's hard to make out, but you holy mackerel, Hathus does make out that these look like, just based on the way the soles are shod, not human boot prints. They look like they have a lot of steel or iron rivets in the bottom, and he sees very clearly that these look like they could be goblin manufactured. Hathus also spots a series of human and what could be hobbit footprints heading. They look like they're mixed up with the goblin prints, or maybe they went slightly after, maybe slightly before, but they're basically heading the same way that the goblin footprints were going. And an amazing series of rolls, guys. I'll just share these with you because you don't often see rolls this good.
Wow, we're professionals finally.
Not bad from a DC 10 check. So yeah, you spotted this very clearly. After about 100 yards off the road, you see a small pony limping very clearly with a dark fletched arrow sticking in its hindquarters, and it's distressed, it's lathered a bit, and it's as it sees you, it kind of attempts to start walking towards you from the east. So it looks like it could even be one of the ponies in the pony train.
Hathus will try and get a bit closer because he looks like he's got a good animal handling skill.
Okay.
Sigmar's ambush radar is going off, so he's just going to scan around.
Okay, give me a perception check in the tower for Sigmarr. Yeah, you're scanning the foothills and the small ravines and crevices. It's not pure smooth fields or anything by any stretch of the imagination. Can't see anything obvious. Looks fairly safe at the moment. Hathus, with soothing tones, walks up towards the horse. The horse seems very glad to see a human, and it kind of limps its way towards you, and you meet up about 50 yards off the road with a horse, and it kind of nuzzles you.
Okay, you'll try and look over the shaft and see if it's anything you can deal with there and then, or just, if you can't, just lead the pony a bit closer to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, it looks like it's not embedded too deeply. The arrow probably hit a hip bone or something like that, and it looks, by the way it's moving up and down, that it's not embedded in the bone, so it looks like a relatively simple thing to remove. If you want to try to remove it, it'll be a medicine check. Wisdom medicine check.
I'll lead it a little bit further and ask Monin and Amalfrida to grab hold of it.
Yep, okay.
And he'll try and remove the arrow.
Okay, so give me a wisdom medicine check. And give it a +2 because of the others soothing it and kind of holding the horse still.
Do you want it in the open or the tower?
Do it in the open, that's fine. The others could laugh at me if you manage to kill the horse by mistake. Yep,
it's
it
a
dies.
1. It's a 1.
Oh no!
So what you do is, as you're removing it, you leverage it, and suddenly blood pours down the flank of this horse.
Is there any way we can staunch the blood or do anything? Presumably, Amalfrida will look around anxiously and probably look at because I think Brother Hathus is our person with some healing ability. I think.
Yeah, he is, I believe.
He's got an ability. The Hands of the Healer ability probably looks like it would be the only thing that could really help here. You've nicked an artery by the looks of things, so.
Last though, he's only got a certain amount of those, isn't he? Is it 2? Is it 1 per level?
1 per short, 1 per long rest, I believe. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Oh, put the poor thing out of its misery. And Sigmar's going to draw his dagger and walk towards it.
What do you guys want to do?
There's no need for that. We can save the thing.
Hathus will be, oh, I think there's a lot more blood than I was expecting there.
Nice roleplay. So if you want to use, it'll be a combination of a medicine check, essentially to try and staunch the bleeding, and then and that will work. You'll need to do it quickly, and it's going to be harder than the original. So the arrow is out, but it's the bleeding you're trying to stop now, Hathus. So if you want to just give me another check, do so. Phew. Okay, so you actually use some wadded up cotton on a broken arrow. You snap the arrowhead off, and actually put a lot of pressure inside the wound. The eyes of this horse are rolling by now, but you're holding it still. But it does seem to staunch the bleeding, and you basically leave the arrow in with wadded bandage on it, and kind of strap it as best you can to stop it moving in the haunch of the horse, and that's really the best you can do right now. You estimate that given a couple of days, you could remove it, and it should have had enough time for the nicked artery maybe to have healed, but you've at least saved its life.
Yeah, by almost killing it, but that's good enough.
If you wanted to use Hands of the Healer, you can have a chance to heal it immediately. I'd say that will remove that effect, but it would mean you can't use it again before a long rest.
Yeah, since we've seen Goblin tracks, he's going to be a lot more wary, and also you can see how twitchy Sigmar's looking, so he's going to hold back that firepower for us.
Okay. So you have your own pony. You basically, I guess, lash this pony onto the pony train now that you've got, and it kind of happily plods along. You're going fairly slowly because you're tracking, but it's not looking like it could break into a run or anything right now. It's a limping. There's a little bit of blood trickling out, but you've saved its life. Okay. Do you want to follow these goblin tracks? They're fairly easy to follow.
Yes, I think so. It's probably a good idea if we send somebody sort of maybe 100 yards, 200 yards or so ahead of the party, just in case there is an ambush. What do you think?
Well, I don't mind that, because that'd be Sigmarr probably doing that, wouldn't be me.
Yep, I don't mind.
And is it?
Okay.
You said it was 10:30 at the beginning, but how long have we been travelling for?
So it was around 3 o'clock when you met that. It's probably around 3:30 in the afternoon now.
And what time does the sun normally lose the light at?
Around, it's summer, but it's towards the mountains, so it'll go down around 8 o'clock. So you've probably got 5 hours of daylight, 4.5 hours of daylight, you estimate.
Right, we've got a few hours left before it gets dark, and so I'd be keen if either find somewhere defensible or see where these goblins have come from.
Yeah.
Okay, Sigmarr, heads off. Give me a stealth check, Sigmarr, if you're trying to kind of move stealthily without being seen. And a survival check.
Which of these has to be in the tower?
Just the stealth.
Deal.
Okay. And a
And
survival
9.
check. Yep. So the tracks are fairly easy to follow. It's a couple of hours from dusk, maybe slightly less, maybe an hour. So probably 6:37. You are sensing that the tracks are, the footprints are kind of closing together. So you would estimate that means that the humans and the hobbit are wearying. Looks like they've made a fairly brisk pace for a while, but their footprints are slowing a bit. If everyone gives me another perception check in the tower towards the latter end of the day, so everyone including Sigmarr.
Is this anything to do with? I'm gonna. Oh dear. I have vigilant sensors, John, but I don't need to tell me whether we're rolling to see if there's an ambush or not. If you catch my
Got you.
drift.
It's really just to see if you can gain some more insight around the tracks.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's
Fine.
not
Let me just roll a perception in the tower then. Where are we? There we go.
Cool. So Monin and Hathus, you actually see what could be signs of some kind of skirmish. There it looks like there is some tracks broaden out left and right from where they were heading fairly steadily northeast, and you see even maybe a hint of blood in a heel print. Not a lot, but a little bit. So it looks like there's been a skirmish here, and you would estimate fairly recently, literally within probably, we're not talking days, even hours. So it looks like that ambush on the cart is a fairly recent event, or on the wagon tray is a fairly recent event. And there's been a skirmish up here fairly recently as well. And just as you kind of head on with a stronger resolution to get to where these humans and the hobbit have gone quickly, and it starts getting towards twilight. And just as you crest another rise, and the next rise over, which is probably less than half a mile away, as twilight is setting in, you spot what can only be a large bonfire on the top of a nearby hill. And it can only mean one thing. It can only mean humans have set up a beacon there or something to try and cause fear for what's following them. What do you want to do? It's dusk is settling in. The hill's about half a mile away, so it's at a brisk jog that would still take you 4 or 5 minutes to get there.
And we've got all this animals in tow as well, haven't we?
Yep.
I'm wondering if maybe somebody leads the animal and 3 people approach the fire. That way, if there's anything unpleasant at the fire, the 3 people who go up can get away and run back to the ponies, and we can retreat. Or they can sneak up and then sneak back if they don't like what's at the fire.
Give me a if you're trying to look and see if you can see any clarity on what's going on at the top of the hill, given the distance. Give me another perception check. You can make this an open.
I didn't tell.
So you didn't tell. I'll just unhurt.
I mean, I don't think it's goblins. I can't imagine goblins fight, but
Oh, another one for Monin.
Belter. So Hathus, yeah, you can see there are definitely some humans there. They're looking like they're gathering wood and to really banking up this large fire, and you see what are obviously too tall to be small orcs mounding stacks of wood on this thing. Looks like they may be trying to attract people to them. It's not for warmth. It's way too big. It's like a big bonfire that they're setting up on top of the
setting up a beacon.
Yeah, something like that.
I think we should make our way towards the beacon.
I think so too.
They might need help.
Okay, excellent. Let me do some prep.
Now, while you're doing that, John, if you're a better man than me, you can do 2 things at once. But I've got a thing called dark foreboding here. While they know not the hour or manner of their death, those doomed to die often have a sixth sense of sorts when in the presence of shadow. So do I feel any kind of shadowy, any spider sense tingling?
Is it automatic?
It's just
They
it's
can
not. It's,
usually tell whether an orc band is an isolated raiding. So,
Have we all got the same one?
doomed to die.
yep, doomed to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we all doomed to die?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So we may not make level 3 then.
You get a sense that there's definitely, well, in fact, actually, as you're kind of jog walking towards this, yeah, this is very foreboding. It's almost like an archetypal setting for a last stand. That's the kind of feeling you're all getting.
That was my guess. Yeah.
You haven't seen goblins or anything like that yet, but you are definitely getting a sense of foreboding as you're getting closer.
And Hathus is emissary of your people, so he's one, he's seen it all, the positive side of things, and us three misery guts.
Look at each other and go, excellent, last chance survival.
Nice. Okay. Hang on a sec. Just finishing off some prep, and I'll be with you.
Hey, Hathus, remember you said you'd be raiding something for me? Raid our tails if we die at the top of that hill. Make sure you get yourself away.
You jog and run up towards what looks like, as you're getting closer to the top of the hill, an old ring fort. Excuse the dodgy rocks to the northeast of it. Fort is $2,000 a term. As you kind of run through what probably would have been the Barbican to this old fort, basically just rubble now, and the track that led up the hill leads in here, and Sigmar's in the lead. You can see in the middle of the fort are 4 humans, and a hobbit, and they are all looking very scared. They're all got spears or swords kind of pointed in your direction as you kind of, you're not being that quiet, but as you kind of jog up to the top of the fort. Although fort is definitely $2,000 a turn. Fortifications consist of a ring-shaped earthen bank around the top of the hill. It looks like there was once a settlement here, possibly a watchtower on the pass, or maybe reused within the last 100 or so years as shepherd's cabin or two. But it's long since vanished, and it's only some crumbled stones that are left. The earthen bank, so the one at the south is where it's fairly contiguous, is pretty defensible by the looks of things, and that's in moderately good condition. But that's that kind of all you notice as you come up, and there's 4 very scared looking humans. One looks fairly martial in skill, and a hobbit cowering really in the hill. And you can tell that 1 or 2 of the humans on the south side, as you run in, look a little bit worse for wear, bruises, cuts, those kind of things.
Okay.
Do you think we should maybe bring the animals inside then, rather than leave them outside?
Yeah, sure. So all I did is, I'll you can start moving your characters and moving the horses. You've just basically, this is just what you saw as you kind of ran into the keep itself.
Right. Okay. Right. I think we better get those animals in, and somebody better go and talk to those fellas.
Aye. Good idea.
Okay, so move wherever you want. I've not locked the tokens, so you kind of drag yourselves to wherever you need to be.
If I look after the non-slack, the pony, I think we need sort of the animals or central. And then they're obviously expecting an attack of some sort. I would probably take up a position around here, I expect.
Hathus will say something like, Dindy, is it? To the hobbit.
The hobbit's head flashes round. It is! Did my brother send you?
Yes, he did, to find out how you're faring, and I see you're still heart in hale.
He's amazing. We are, but we're sorely pressed. We were ambushed by orcs, and then the taller man, Igar, or the W silent, I'm assuming, Igar Longleg, looks up and he says, "Thanks, Dindy. Yes, we were ambushed not some hours ago on the road coming back out of the mountains by a small goblin scouting party. They separated us from our horses, took took all of our equipment, but we did manage to escape with our lives. And we just had to head east. They were harrying the road, and I feel terrible. I was the leader of the caravan. This journey's just been cursed. Delay after delay. Should never have gone to see the sea. Knew I was wasting time doing that, he muttering to himself. And he looks over and he says, so have you seen any sign of goblins? We heard them literally no more than 20 minutes ago, coming from the east and the south.
Only the tracks on the ground. Haven't seen them in person yet.
Oh my goodness. Right, we've got a fight on our hands, I think, then. And as he says that, you can hear a reedy, fairly high-pitched horn call from the southeast. It's kind of coming from that direction. And as you're listening, you can hear some high-pitched calls and actually some fairly low-pitched growls as well, coming from the southeast there.
Those sound like, I'm guessing those are wargs then.
Yeah, it's similar sound to the large wolf you encountered in the
Yeah.
Have we still got free movement?
Roman hold. Yeah, at the moment you're not in turn order. You don't know how far away these things are yet.
So Monin will quickly cast a martial eye over the rest of them. I think you said one looks martial. They look like it'll all fight apart from Dindy.
Dindy does not look a combatant. So Bill, Andy, and Tom introduce themselves, as well as Igar. Dindy looks like he's just crapping himself, looks extremely scared, not going to be able to really help you guys at all.
Right, doesn't seem like an awful lot of us to actually man the whole perimeter. So I'm a bit worried about it being too obvious with the southeast attack while somebody comes in from the northwest or similar.
Yeah.
So
How many persona that can fight? There's 4 of us, basically, really, aren't there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Bill Bowman.
Apart from the NPCs, I mean, Sigmar's good with a bow, so Sigmar could stay near the north side, near our ponies, and just rain arrows as best he can at everybody. Isn't Hathus an archer as well?
I think he throws a dagger, so that's the thing that's all he's got. I'll just check.
All right, I mean, if Hathus and Sigmar stayed back, and basically, if Sigmar therefore basically bows as much as we can, if I take sort of the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock area, maybe with Tom Lumpy Face,
Okay.
Moaning, if you take sort of 9 o'clock down to 6 o'clock with maybe Andy Black.
Okay.
So if I go down here, because what I'm worried about is if we stand right back in the centre, although our perimeter is smaller, they're going to surround us, no cover. Whereas if we step up to the walls, at least we can say, well, we've got some cover from any arc.
Yeah, it might give us a bit of an advantage as well.
That's my thinking. But meanwhile, anything that gets past us is going to be in the open and illuminated by the fire, which means that Bill the Bowman, I'm assuming is a bowman, and Sigmar can rain down all sorts of arrowy death on them.
Yeah, if we keep Dindy on the move, looking around the outskirts, maybe he can warn us about any kind of diversion tactics.
I mean, if Dindy looks at the north, at least we've got Sigmar and Hathus nearby to help, and Hugh and the dog as well. So if I go down with Tom Lumpy Face, I can't move him.
The thing is, I've only got 10 arrows left.
I've got nothing.
I've got 15 arrows, and it's for a great bow. What kind of bow have you got?
Well, I've got a short bow, but I don't know if you have different arrows.
Well, basically,
the length of the arrow.
My inventory just says arrows.
Do you want? Have you got the strength for a great bow?
It's the weapon proficiency.
Am I?
I mean, if you wanted to, I don't know, be pedantic about it, you could probably use those arrows and then just maybe take a -1 penalty. The arrows would be slightly heavier than what would normally be fired by a short bow, won't they? Because they'll be longer.
Simple weapons, broadsword and short sword. So I don't know if simple weapons covers.
This great bow is a martial ranged weapon.
Yeah. If you take those arrows, don't tell John, and maybe he won't notice. Or if he does, he will give me a -1 penalty, to reflect the weight of the arrows, I suppose. I just don't want to try and fight right next with my back to the fire. I think if we get on top of the goblins, they'll just step back and fill us with arrows.
Yeah, I think you're dead right.
I don't think there's much. We haven't got time to dig pits or anything like that.
Construct a siege engine.
That's right.
Roman fortification. When John comes back, maybe Bill the Bowman has a short bow and has enough arrows.
Maybe.
That would be good.
We're transporting our cargo of arrows
Yeah.
across the mountains.
all we could salvage was these 4 barrels of arrows.
I do more damage if the person I'm shooting at has got an enemy within 5 feet. That matters.
I don't think that will be a problem for Monin and myself. I think we'll target friendly. Was it a target rich environment?
Of course, the annoying thing is they'll want their pony back.
Well, after we've saved it, Dindy's not having his pony back. That's ours now. That's payment. Rescued the damn thing, saved its life. Of course, we almost killed it in the first place. I reckon
guys are
Hathus
back.
should have. Yeah, we're just debating. We think Hathus should be inspiration for saving the life of Blinky the Wonder Pony. And
That's his new name.
We found this cunning way of building fortification. So we're going to have to redo your map.
I do like the idea of inspiration. I think that's good. He persevered.
You've not said anything about the fortifications, palisade, moat.
I think very, very sensible. I'm not sure you'll have time to construct a moat and a new palisade, however.
I could dig a pit, just put my head in it.
However, you kind of do a quick, in a minute or two, run around the edge of the perimeter. There definitely seems to be a force moving up the hill. You're on, well, the most defensible ground in leagues, probably. The hill is quite steep, good visibility down it, hard to climb up. So that might influence your tactics a little bit up here. But it's pretty large area to try and defend.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, our fear is that we get up, we've got 2 archers, we reckon, John. We're assuming Bill the Bowman is not some sort of ironic name, and he actually does have a bow.
He does have a bow, yeah.
Good. So one thing maybe could be is that Sigmarr and Bill the Bowman come up with us to the southern wall, fling as many arrows as they can, and then retreat back to the centre when the goblins and wargs get within, say, about 70 or 80 feet. We'll each pair up, maybe with, if I take Tom Lumpyface, and if Monin works with Andy Blackthorn, and if we try and hold them at the wall for as long as possible while the archers carry on shooting, our fear is that if we all retreat back to bonfire, the goblins just stand at the walls and fill us full of arrows.
Yep, absolutely makes sense. You would have probably a number, like many rounds, could be a quiver full of rounds of arrow fire that you could rain down the hill on things coming up, because it's hard.
I've only got 10 arrows left, so we're wondering if Bill has any spares, and
he does. He actually has 2 full quivers, or just under 2 full quivers. So distributing those amongst yourselves, increase that to 20, and he's got. No, you take 30 arrows, he'll have 20. He looks at you and assumes you're a better bowman than he is. But he gives you a full quiver, basically, in addition to what you've got.
Excellent.
I can't do the math, that isn't 20, but anyway, it isn't 30. But
Monon's got 15.
Add 20 on, yeah. So that's 35 then, I think, yeah.
He'll not take any extra arrows, just let the people a bit better in the bow than he is. They can have them, and he'll just keep his 15.
So this area here is the only area that's really easy to get in. I didn't draw it very well. I should have had a better map. But basically, there is a fairly defensible ring. So this area along here, the southern area, that's roughly what all of it's like. It's kind of ramparts that are still left where all of those stone images are around. And it would it'd be fairly easy to defend that, because the attackers would need to climb up probably 15 feet of very steep rampart to get to even where the stone begins, which would be difficult enough to climb anyway, but then you could almost like pick them off as they come up, but you'd need to be vigilant going around. That area there is where there would have been, I guess, gates and stuff is the most vulnerable, I guess.
So there's probably no need then for guard the area that she's in, or is there? Because that looks fairly open to me.
Yeah, so the graphics aren't really doing this justice. If you imagine any of you been up to some of the old forts in England where there are basically just the earthen ramparts left. This is basically a steep bank, maybe 15 feet high, going up, which would have been dug out from beyond, from around the ring, and then mounded up. So you've got a dip where a trench would be, so the attackers would have to go down and then climb up a very steep rampart, maybe 15 foot high behind that. And on top of that, there would be footings of stone walls, which would be another maybe 2 or 3 feet they'd need to climb and scramble over. So if you with Egar and maybe a couple of the others almost patrolled quadrants of the wall, giving warnings to each other to help if there is a breach or looks like there could be a breach, that may be your best bet. Clearly, you need to be careful because of the vulnerability of being bowed, assuming that the attackers have bows. But yeah, so there's not any particular area of the wall that's any more vulnerable than the rest, apart from where you guys came in.
Okay. Monin, are you happy to take that area on your own, or do you want me with you? What's going to work best?
I'll see what we can do thinning their ranks as they come up, and then maybe I'll try. That's the obvious places where the fighting will be heavy, so just keep your eye on me, and if you see me getting a little bit swamped, then come. So don't go too far. But yeah, we need to make sure they don't climb up one of these banks either. Also, it'd be good if Dindy was doing like a scout around the perimeter all the time, just to keep an eye out.
So you can you looking closely and standing near Egar, Sigmarr and Hathus notice that actually he's got a sheen of sweat on his face, and as you look closely from the light of the fire, his left hand is going towards his side quite often, and he's wincing, and he looks pretty wobbly on his feet. He doesn't look. He's definitely a combatant, but he doesn't look fit for combat right now.
Okay.
Hathus will give a once over then.
Yeah, so he kind of grunts and he says, I got stuck by a damn goblin arrow last night. Caught me in the side. Must have been poison, the bastards. And he coughs and retches a little bit. And you can tell his skin's a bit grey-green. He does not look in a good way.
Okay, is there anything Hathus can do for him if he gives him a look over, say, medicine or something?
Yeah, so they've got a pot bubbling on the fire. Dindy's been tasked with stoking it, so he's now basically solely responsible for keeping it lit. And basically, Egar says, as soon as we're in the dark, we'll be overrun. The goblins are to my knowledge, fairly afraid of the light, and it will offset any advantage they may have. So essentially, if Hathus wants to try and help, he can make a poultice with pouch of herbs and those kind of things. It's a fairly difficult check. But an antidote to that is probably all that's required. If that doesn't work, the only option he's got will be his special feature, which you can use to remove poison. But you may need every hand, basically.
Yeah, I think so. So that's what he's going to do. So, poultice is going to act quickly, or is it just better to use the special feature?
No, it'll work fairly quickly. You estimate you got 3 or 4 minutes, given the time before they're even in range. As the light's dying, you can see, and your hunch was right. There are some wargs tentatively clambering up the hill with some orcs and goblins with them, and even goblins riding them. But they're being quite cautious. They're obviously, you can see the beacon from a long way off.
Okay, we'll try it. Is it medicine?
It's a medicine check. If you wanted to, I did give you an inspiration. If you want to use inspiration, you'll get this at advantage.
Yeah, it seems pretty crucial, so I'll do that.
Okay, so check advantage and give me a wisdom medicine check. Okay, so you dropped a 5 there. You managed to put the poultice on. His breathing slows a little. He'd clearly removed the arrow before, and just crudely bandaged it, and he is beginning to look better. The light sort of gleam comes back in his eyes. He looks at you and nods with thanks and says, well, healer, I'm in your debt. I feel almost my old self. Bit of a sting in the side, but that was nothing short of miraculous. Thank you.
No, just from books. Just from books.
Okay, so Dindy is sorting the fire out. I'll move. So Bill goes towards where the southern flank is. Sigmarr, I'm assuming you're quite close to there as well, standing basically behind the wall for cover, but bowing over the top. And most of the force look like they're coming up from that southeast area.
Yeah.
Where do we want Hathus? What do you reckon? With the animals, or sort of more in the thick of it?
I reckon well, I'm not sure what use Hathus is going to be, because I don't think he's a combatant.
Not really.
He's the nearest we've got to a healer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got the ability to heal, so if anyone gets injured...
Yeah, I would suggest maybe he stays back towards Dindy and the horses. If
Okay.
worst comes to worst, get yourself onto a pony, slap the pony's backside, and head off to pastures greener.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
Is
So,
anybody going to be keeping an eye out for attacks from behind?
yeah, so Andy and Tom maybe will kind of go on to the ramparts towards the northwest, northeast, and kind of scan east and west. And they'll obviously be able to run across and provide support if fighting gets particularly savage in certain areas. Igar basically said, yeah, we've been trying to defend this place. It transpires that actually you were wrong about the timing. They've actually been here last night as well. And he said last night there was only 4 or 5 goblins attacked. That's when I got the arrow in the side, but we managed to fend them off relatively easily. So it's quite defensible, but this force is much larger that's coming now. We've got to hold tonight. I know that there are Beorning warriors in the foothills, and they wouldn't dare pursue us if we managed to get back to the road with the numbers we have. We've got to survive till then. And the skulking shapes coming up the hill looks like you've got a hell of a battle on your hands.
What a great day to die. Come on, you
Simple
bastards.
plan. Got to keep the bloody fire going as long as we can and hold off the attackers for as long as possible. Daylight's a long way off, everyone. And he looks to Monin, who very clearly is a warrior, and Amalfreda a bit, and says, thank God you're here, but anything else you can think of that I've missed?
Just shrugs and grabs her axe with a tighter grip.
Is there any loose-looking boulders?
Yeah, the hill is pretty rough, so i.e. there are areas where they could duck out the way of boulders if you're planning to kind of roll them down, and none are large enough like trebuchet size rocks that you could use.
What about the sort of the top of the bank, just in case you want to drop someone some heads?
Yeah, you could definitely try that, but by then though you'll be almost in the hand-to-hand range anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Now Monin just spits on his hands and grabs his warhammer and grins.
So Igar says, it looks like the route up where these things would come from would be from up the track you guys came up, and potentially there's another path, looks like a sheep path, kind of coming from the southeast rather than the southwest. So they may send goblins up that route as well, but I can't see any other ways where this would be obvious, where there's easy routes up, and some of this area looks very steep.
Okay.
Looking at them, is there any obvious looking leaders, say anything barking out orders on top of a warg or anything like that?
You can see some larger orcs interspersed with the goblins, the majority of goblins, right. But there are a few larger kind of human-sized orcs there. Nothing enormous, no really, really large orcs, but they look like they're kind of cajoling them up. It could also be you can see at least 3 large wolves coming, kind of sneaking up as well, and they're reaching the bottom of the hill now, which is probably a couple of 100 yards away. So yeah, they could be leading them up, but you're not sure how wargs operate.
Can I make some sort of roll, John, maybe and know something about goblins and wolves as to who would be the biggest threat, who to take out first? I mean, out of game, I'd know that you'd want to kill the bigger goblins, orcs first.
Yep, same here.
But give me an intelligence shadow law check. Anyone who wants to try and discover that. Whoa!
Oh, look at that!
Absolute result. Holy mackerel.
I may be thick as pig shit, but I know my orcs from my goblins.
Yeah, so absolutely. orcs are very hierarchical. If you take out a leader, they basically panic until they have a new one. So that could be enough to rout them. So if you can identify who that leader would be, that could easily be enough for you to
at least get some of them to break and run, I'm hoping.
Yeah, to get some to break and run, yeah.
Excellent. Oh, nice roll, Moni.
Yeah, we've just used our good 20s. Now it's ones from now on.
That's it, we're doomed now.
Doom it. Right, so make sure when you're picking your targets, pick your targets, go for the worst ones you'd never want to fight. That could be the leaders. You break them, maybe they'll all break. Looks like Amel3, you fought these before.
Maybe we know something about them. We think you're right. Take out the big buggers.
Can we see roughly how many there are?
Hard to see. There's probably at least 10, and it's getting dusky now. Majority of the force is coming up from that way, and there is another force you can see coming up there, but it's fairly split. You can see most of the wargs are congregating southwest. There's one, and you think there's 4 in total now. There's one coming up from this side on the southeast.
Give my position to there then.
Yeah,
if
that makes sense.
Ready some throwing axes.
Okay, Sigmar, are you going to get yourself down to the wall with your bow?
What's the range? Well, what I was thinking was I'd shoot from where I am, because then I'm kind of equidistant from both sets, but I guess it won't hurt close to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, you would definitely get a lot of rounds of bow fire in, and I would advise Monin to do the same.
Yep.
Before they're on you. If you want, I can kind of fast forward. I think the plan looks pretty sound. You've not seen any sign, and the hill is round. You've not seen any sign of movement from the east, west, northern quadrants. They're all coming up from the south, but they're coming up in 2 parties. It's hard to make out. You would say probably 8 to 10 coming up on the left, and maybe slightly smaller force coming up on the right from where that other arrow is pointed. You've got some. You got some bows and arrows, fortunately, in your favour. Right, I will now unhide everything. So I'm not showing just south of the wall. Okay, so there's a bunch of... So this will give you an idea in the combat tracker now of just the volume of these sneaky little fuckers coming up the hill. You should be able to see... You won't see where they are, but you can target them. So what you have... Yeah, there's not small numbers. I will just give you an idea of the amount of time you've got. You would estimate in game mechanic terms, maybe 10 to 20 rounds of bow fire to lay down on these things as they're creeping up. And you would estimate, even if they start running, they're not going to be able to run fast up here towards you. You may still be able to take a good proportion of their force down before then. Before they even reach the walls. So, for the people with bows, assuming you hit, for the people with bows, target basically whoever you want in that long list. I'm not going to track where they are at all, but I basically say you can hit any of these. You can see where the wargs are. You can see where the larger orcs coming up are. It's not dark yet, and that might be what's holding these things back. You can tell that they're shielding their eyes a bit coming up the hill. It could almost be that this could be a last chance to really deplete their number before it goes dark.
Okay.
So why don't you guys roll initiative? Yeah. Why don't you guys roll initiative, and we'll go in your initiative order. They're not going to be able to take any actions other than moving up. Okay. So could you just roll for Hathus as well?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No problem. Yeah, so Sigmar, you get to act first. So target whoever you want, and have at it. Good luck.
Twang.
Oh, nice shot.
Whoa!
So would you something you rolled twice?
Yes, and you also have your ability with the dice.
So I rolled the damage twice, and
twice. Yeah, you roll it twice, I think. So you definitely do a critical, which is double damage, but you get a chance to re-roll both of those dice.
So you'd roll your critical, and if you don't like how much damage the critical did, you could roll it again.
Yeah, and pick the best one.
Remind me how that works again.
So just roll your damage, And fancy
Yeah, I
drawings?
think I'm gonna. If I actually roll the damage, then it'll apply it to the enemy. So I think what I'm gonna do is just roll a d6 plus 3 twice and pick the best one.
Okay, so
That's so my first roll is the 6.
yeah,
And then I roll again for my second roll. Is that right?
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh no, no.
That's not looking as good.
Well, I know the modifier is only to one roll, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
do that thing. Right, so that 6 should be a 9 because it didn't have the plus 3 on it.
Okay, so it's 9.
9 plus 6 it should be.
Okay, so it's 9 plus 6. Yeah, it does make 6 sense. That's 15. I need to find which one you were targeting.
Orc kind with the bent sword.
Yeah, let me unhide. Let me make all of these visible and identify them because they've got funny names anyway, which is a laugh. So there you go. So which one of those were you targeting in the list now? Because I can't see.
Hey?
I've just unhidden all of their names because I don't know which one you were targeting. They all had the same
You're
name, basically.
already unhidden. Orc soldier, clipped horseshoe moustache.
Clipped horseshoe moustache. Thank you. So 15 damage to clipped horseshoe moustache.
Okay, so the name.
Yeah, they were just called Orc with a bent sword before. So
Right.
you hit him. So he was in the kind of some of the front ranks coming up the western side. Arrow takes him fully in the chest. You can hear a large howl go up into the evening air from him. Nice shot. Okay, after Sigmarr, it's Amalfrida. Do you have missile weapons, Amalfrida?
No, I'm out of range.
Yeah, I thought so. Andy, let's see if Andy has a missile weapon. No, he's only got a spear. He ain't throwing that. Next up is Hathus. Can he or does he have any missile weapons?
No,
at
he
all?
doesn't.
Didn't think so. Okay. Let me see if Tom Lumpyface does. Just got a spear. Bill the Bowman. Bill the Bowman does have a bow and will be targeting. Who's he targeting? Goblin down the hill. This is seen as a spear, but it's not a spear, it's a bow. Nice. He wounds a goblin coming up the hill, doesn't kill it. The next one, Monin, you have a bow as well, I believe.
Yep.
Nice hit, doing well.
Very nice.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Dindy, wide-eyed, pouring more wood on the fire. Egar comes over, strides purposefully over to stand next to Monin. He's got a large axe gripped in his hand. And then it gets round back up to Sigmarr again. So that is round 1. Making some inroads.
Same guy. Is he keep coming on? This guy that I hit.
He's slowed down. He's like pulling at this arrow out of his chest. He's stopped, but he's still alive. He's not looking an immediate threat.
Go down, you ugly bastard! Oh, don't duck when I'm shooting at you.
Missed him. Okay, next up is Amalfrida again. I'll just go round to the people with missile weapons. Bill. He's targeting the same orc. Whoa, that'll work.
Nice. Instant
There
death.
is one dead orc there, one dead goblin. So one down. Monin.
Miss.
Oh, Monin, come on. Right, back round to Sigmarr. This is round 3.
Yeah, if the same guy's still coming on, then I'll shoot
He
him
is.
again. If the closer, orky looking one, I'll target him. Okay.
So
Oh, come on.
next
Bill,
up.
where'd you get these bloody arrows? They're bent.
Bill is targeting. He started to target a goblin archer this time. Oh, just flies wide of him. Back up to Monin. Back down to Monin, sorry.
Yeah.
Flying wide. Sigmarr, round 4.
I'm getting a bit worried now.
That's a hit.
Right, so now.
Okay, so drag the Why was one +6, the other plus?
I don't know. Oh, I'd accidentally typed a +3 in it. Sorry. Because I
Okay.
was just going to roll a d6.
I'll add 1 to drag the bottom one on, and I'll add 1 more damage if it's still alive. Dunk! That killed it. It's 2 down. Right. Tombo, where are you?
Run, you ugly things!
No, Bill. Sorry, Bill the bowman. Bill is targeting the other archer. He's attacking still. Oh, hit it. Archer's been wounded. Monin.
He switched target to one of the goblin archers, thinking that if they get too close, they might be more of a threat than the orcs. Take the first one. I must have double-clicked.
Good. Not good, actually. Just that missed. Wow. Good armor class for the goblin archers. Devious little bastards. Right. Next one up is Sigmarr.
Now, I can see in this list, John, that one of them is called Ubhers. Is that something I shouldn't see, or does he look...
No, he looks like he's marshalling their attack.
Right.
So that's why I called him out.
Did I target somebody? I think I did. Yes. That's right, then. I should try to shoot him. Not with a 5, I won't.
Yeah, so he's basically coming up kind of right behind one of the wolves on the southwest edge. You missed him, and you hear some guttural barking of orders wafting over the wind. It was definitely coming from him. Okay, next up is Bill. He's going to target this thing again. Oh, it's a hit. Another goblin goes down. And Monin.
Gah! 4.
Egar says, "Steady, lads! Aim true!" Okay, Sigmarr, you're back up.
Righty. Go down. That armor's tough.
Right, Bill is targeting... So just looking for another goblin archer. Right. Missed wildly. Terrible shot. Monin, you're up.
Oh, 5.
Arrows flying wildly wide. Round 6.
Bloody quick, these things.
Yeah, they're dodging in and out of boulders and brushes and stuff. So Sigmarr, you're back up.
Oh, yes. So I untarget him. Do not type anything in the bonus box.
Nope, it does that
Roll
automatically.
some damage twice. Oh, I'll pick that one.
Yeah, you're not going to get better than that. So just drag that onto him.
Want some more, do you?
You hear a growl of an orcish swearing coming from down the hill, and that orc ducks behind a boulder out of sight, and you can hear him grunting and then shouting orders. He's not stupid. Bill is targeting pierced right leg, and he adds to his piercing.
He's good, Bill.
Oh, nice shot, Bill. Monin.
Oh my god, that's 4, a 5, and a 6.
It's better than Monin, I'll give him that. So Sigmarr, you're up if we're now on round 7.
So I can no longer see Ubhers.
No, he's carrying out of sight and trying to drive the people on.
That's the orc kind with the scimitar then. Oh,
Miss.
that's
Next
his
up,
shield.
Bill is going to attack the same guy. Oh, Bill, you genius. Another goblin archer goes down. Monin. That's more like it. Monin's got his eye in.
Yes.
There's more shrieks and grunts coming from down the hill now.
Some goblin archers called exceptional pants and superior leotard. I think we should take those out.
Round 8. Sorry for this, Stuart. It's not good TV for you at the moment. Sigmarr, back up.
I'm going to switch targets to superior leotard because there's something about him.
You're targeting 2 at the moment.
Am I? Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm firing 2 arrows. Is it not possible? Yes. Right. Yes.
You hit him right in the leotard. Nice job.
Either that. Oh, yeah. I'll have that.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, drag that on.
Leotard. Clang.
Superior leotard goes down.
I see that they're looking pretty close to the wall now, are they?
Not that close. You would estimate just over half the way from where they started. They're still probably maybe just a little under a minute away. They're going. They've probably made up more of the ground, but they're going really cautiously now. There's arrows raining down on them. They're trying to kind of duck into and out of behind bushes and boulders and stuff, and they're slowing down. But there's so many of them, you're able to kind of pick your targets pretty easily. Bill is back up. Bill got a target. Missed. Monin. Monin's got his eye in this time. Glancing blow to long legs.
And that's where we'll leave it, just at the beginning of round 9. We've been plinking away at them for a bit now, thinning their ranks. Hopefully next session we should be able to thin that down a bit further, close the melee range and vanquish those goblins and orcs and those wolves. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for those of you who subscribe and those of you who actually listen to our podcast as well as our YouTube and vice versa. The views and the downloads are all starting to look a bit healthier now, which is great. Thank you very much. If you want to get in contact with us, just look at the description and do all that kind of stuff. Right, cheers. Bye-bye.